What's going on, guys? I'm Taylor with the Namra podcast with Russ and Sahil, and today we're going to be talking about everything from Stanley water bottles to how to optimize your database. So stay tuned. So the Stanley water bottle craze is like very top of mind right now. We all basically, our timelines looked exactly the same with people trying to like, I don't know. It was like remember those
Friday.
Old Black Friday? Yeah. Was it Black Friday that like those videos are from where everyone's like rating the targets?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think there was like a limited edition Yeti water bottle that everyone wanted for Christmas. And people don't realize, like my girlfriend loves Stanley water bottles. She doesn't realize that it's like a 100-year-old plus company. And it's not some like new thing, like even like Yeti, like that's a newer company. But Stanley has been around forever, and it's like a perfect case study on why you like what rebranding can do for your business, because they were forever. Like I grew up, if you went like camping, you took like your dad's big old Stanley canteen.
For like real outdoorsmen.
Yeah. And it was like not a cool thing like at all. It was like a big green like canteen,
tactical thermos.
Thermos that you would take in the woods, and you would have like soup or hot chocolate or coffee in, and that was like it. But
with
now,
the lid.
with the lid and like the built-in cup or whatever, and it was like this big bulky cumbersome thing, but it worked great. Like great product. And like the rebranding they've done recently is like amazing. Like they have found a whole new audience to get into. So
yeah, and so we were talking about this, and I pulled up my phone, and the second post that was on my newsfeed on Facebook was that exactly, like some other marketer talking about how like all you need is not necessarily a new product, but a new audience and a new message. So great way to start the episode, I would say. Yeah,
it's a case study on like what branding and marketing and like finding a new persona or a target audience can do for your business, because the product has not changed for years. But the colors, the design, and the messaging and the strategy behind that has. And that just goes to show you, like, if you have a good product, that doesn't mean you're going to be top of mind. It doesn't mean you're going to be number one. Like, for years, it's been like Yeti, right? Yeti has been the go-to. And now Stanley was like, well, we have that exact same product, but no one knows about us. So, like, how can we get involved? And they've done a great job.
Yep.
I think I saw one video where it was like their newest drop. I think you were saying, Russ, it was like their holiday drop or something, where it's like people were like fighting at Target to like grab like the last bottle. You know, that's just how much, like that's a brand right there.
That's huge.
if you're causing fights at Target just because like you dropped like a limited time edition, that's crazy.
Yeah, somebody on that marketing team's getting promoted.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
My favorite one, if we're talking like total rebrands, is Domino's.
Yeah.
I've been passionate about the Domino's rebrand ever since college.
That's
because it was as we were transitioning into college and needed cheap pizza that this happened. So it was like very, very relevant to us. Domino's sucked when we were in high school.
I was like Gino's family.
It was like the worst. I think I totally preferred Papagino's over Domino's. And I remember this transition from like they put themselves out there. It was like the first taste of authenticity in advertising from a big company that I had ever seen. Like they started posting on social media pictures of all their horrible Domino's pizzas. Yeah. And like sorry the boxes were in half when they got there. Sorry, like the cheese stuck to the top of the box.
Soggy
so they
pizza.
Posted all those pictures and like horrible reviews from customers. They leaned straight into all the bad press and were like, we're sorry, and we fixed it. And they came out with this massive campaign, and it was like a year-long campaign. But by the end of that year, they were the Domino's that we all know and love today. Where like really good food, super consistent. The under 30-minute delivery was a part of that era and rebrand. And oddly, like I loved that. Like it was like my first taste of like, oh, I think I like marketing, because I remember seeing them totally flip their entire business around in a year, just from a new messaging and addressing the issues of the product too.
I still remember my dad, when I told my dad, like we were getting Domino, like we were just talking, I was in college. I was like, yeah, we're getting Domino's takeout. He's like, what are you doing? Like, that is disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't raise you like that. Get Papagino's. And I was like, no, it's different. Like, he hadn't seen the ads yet. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then I made him try it one time, and he was like,
That's dumb.
That's actually not bad.
They fixed it.
Yep.
I believe that was a Super Bowl commercial too, right?
I think it was.
I think it was like a 10-second or something Super Bowl commercial where they took like screenshots of like all the bad feedback, and it was like one came up, a second one came up, a third one came up.
And they had like,
and then it was like, like 1,000 that came up.
Yeah.
And then I think all they said was like, we're listening, like we'll be better or something. And then ever since then, like their brand.
And they built off that like anchor video, so to speak. And then they had campaigns about like all the different chefs that they tried out and like formulas that they tried along the process.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like a pretty cool way to like they were telling a story over time to the audience that they knew they had.
Yeah.
So how cool is their tech though now? Like I see like how they've completely changed their brand around, but they actually like lived up to that, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, yes, they like revamped the logo a bit, they cleaned it up, they improved their product, they improved their, now
they have
customer
an
service
emergency.
and
Have
stuff.
you seen emergency pizza and stuff like that? Or if you get takeout, they credit you. So it basically says like. There was a thing, if you order so many pizzas, you get like an emergency pizza as part of their rewards program.
I saw that.
So, and their commercials were based around, and maybe we can play it in the video, but like the fact that like, hey, if shit hits the fan, and like we understand, like shit hits the fan, you just need a pizza like immediately because you overcooked dinner amazing. Or like you stayed at work too late or something like that. And they were offering their clients like, or their customers like one free pizza or whatever. And it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Just their whole like tracker, like and it's patented, right? So no one else can have that.
Where the
just
delivery
like
is.
it like shows you like if it's in the oven, it's being prepped and what it's just awesome. Also, a fun fact while we're on the Domino's topic, so the biggest or one of the biggest commute networks in India actually is the train network. Domino's in India started something where if you're on the train and like you at that time was Twitter, if you just tweeted like an order to them or something like at Domino's India, just like an order, when your train stops, they would bring you your order like in the train, give it to you like where you're sitting, and then so it was crazy. It wasn't like the revamp wasn't just happening here like locally.
They're trying
it was
stuff
like,
out everywhere.
They were just like they were doing like crazy stuff like everywhere.
That's awesome.
Like wherever they could actually like enable smart tech and stuff, like take advantage of social and stuff. They were doing it. No, Domino's is a great story.
The other thing that they played on, one more thing, I'm a Domino's fan too. I didn't realize how much I liked them actually, but you remember like people were talking about like self-checkout? It's like, well, why don't I get paid to do the work? Like, you know what I mean? Like that was kind of like there were some comedy skits on that. What they basically did where they were crediting people for coming to pick up. Like, so if you didn't need delivery, they would give you a discount for coming in store to pick up because delivery fee was like built in. And they were offering their customers that, which was another pretty like just
good
trying
idea.
something. I don't know if it caught on, but like at least they were trying different things. So
I think it's still there, right? Where like if you like pick up like a pizza, it's like much cheaper.
Yeah, it is.
If you do something like that. Yeah.
Because I don't know that they have that many delivery people. So
It's just awesome.
yeah.
I love it. So I guess to sum all that up, two totally different case studies, but similar theme in that like it's never too late. Those are two old products,
And
old
those are
companies.
two different one company that had a dog shit product and one company that has always had a great product, but a rebrand was the solution for them
for both.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that's why I can do a really great thing. At the end of the day though, you got to have a decent product if you want to go real big.
So I think to sum up that topic then, what's your go-to pizza?
I'm still a Papagino's guy.
Papagino's guy.
Oh, Brooklyn Napolitanos locally though. That's my favorite. What's your favorite?
I meant like actually like kind of like the pie itself, like what's your go-to pie? Yeah.
No,
Like
I do
your
bacon
toppings.
pepperoni
What's it?
every
Bacon
time.
pepperoni.
Bacon pepperoni.
Bacon pepperoni has been my pizza since high school.
Really?
Is your go-to brand Domino's or?
Oh, it was West Boylston House of Pizza in high school. So Bacon Pep from WB House was just instant order every time.
Nice.
I'll still crush one of those easily. But Domino's has become a pretty huge staple, but not anymore because it's no takeout 2024.
Nice. I like that. Good.
Yep.
Good. Personal development. Mine was Filippo's Buffacue. It's buffalo and barbecue mixed together. Buffacue from Filippo's, wings and pizza, calzones. That was the ultimate for me.
We had a lot of Route 152, or what was it, 159 moments we're at the studio. That was great. But no, I think my go-to pie is always just classics, just cheese, Brooklyn
straight
style.
cheese,
Though.
man.
Brooklyn style, Domino's with some extra garlic on the crust. You know,
fair enough.
Nothing.
You can't
Slaps.
beat a cheese.
Very respectful.
If there's a party situation where there's multiple pizzas, always go safe. Always go cheese. I think that's the best way to figure out if the pizza's good. If you have a good piece of cheese pizza.
Anytime I try a new place, I always go like for their, you know, their standard margarita or their regular just cheese. Like that's how you judge it, man.
That's how Portnoy does it. Yeah, you got to make sure.
You got to. Yep.
I have been encouraged by friends, my sister, her friends, to start reviewing buffalo chicken, boneless buffalo chicken, the same way Dave Portnoy does, because no matter where I go, if I'm at a restaurant, I'm ordering boneless buffalo chicken.
Could we do that together? Because you know how much. How much I love it.
It would come very naturally to me. I really think I have like a harsh ranking system. Like 9s and 10s would be nearly impossible to achieve.
Ever since I've known you, since like freshman year of college, you were like, what are we getting? It's like, I would like buffalo chicken.
Boneless buffalo chicken. Yeah.
Maybe a wrap.
And I'll judge the quality of a restaurant solely based on their bone. If you have really good boneless buffalo chicken, though everything else is great.
You think so?
But if you have bad boneless buffalo chicken, everything else is gonna be pretty questionable. Like that is, I'm telling you, you can judge an entire restaurant based on their boneless buffalo chicken appetizer. Yeah. So I may start doing just that. So stay tuned.
Nice. Takeout. What was it? What did you call it? No takeout 24.
No takeout 2024.
That's going to be, if you do that review system, it might be in trouble, but I like it.
You got to have, you have their wings fresh.
Though, I can write it off if I start making content.
That's funny.
Jimmy D's, Franklin.
Jimmy D's banging. Yeah.
Nice. Right.
Yeah. But anyway, all that aside.
Perfect,
I think
perfect segue to audience segmentation. Not really, but
I think really what we were just trying to emphasize there is just the power of a brand, though. We went from Stanley Cups, we were talking about Domino's, we were, but really it just comes down to the power of a brand, like brand loyalty. If you're seeing fights at Target over Stanley Cups, like it's you're seeing the fights happen, but it's caused by the loyalty to the brand, like having the brand. So just power of a brand. The story that you push, what you're all about, it does matter. It does matter. I know it's something that's read in like a marketing textbook, like what's your brand about, but no, you should put thought into it. There is a story, people do care, and these are just, proofs in the real world about it.
We've talked about it a couple times this week, and we wanted to talk about it on the podcast, but when you talk about brand segmentation, or just basically what that means is you have two different personas, which we've talked about at length. So maybe Stanley is your everyday. One audience is like my girlfriend. She's 28 years old. She works from home. She went to college. She's just your typical, loves TikTok, and she's into the trends like current events. She needs her fancy Stanley water bottle. Like that is one audience for them. She is the target market. But on the other side, Stanley still has that old green thermos we talked about. And that's like your campers, your hikers, your outdoorsmen. Very minimal frills. They just need something that's durable, reliable, and gets the job done. So that's your audience segmentation. And what you have to do with those is like separate like the messaging and how you reach those people, because the messaging for one is very different than the other. They both might buy your products, but they're totally different people. And one thing that we ran into this week was a client who had a database of all of his past clients. However, he had literally just had it sitting in a CRM, and he wants to run some targeted ads, but he can't really do it effectively because they're just all jumbled up, and he does a bunch of different things for different people. And so we talked about that a little bit, right? So maybe Sahil, you can talk about a little bit more of like the value of doing that and what that means, kind of build off that.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, one thing that a lot of folks don't know is like there's more uses to a database than just, uploading the emails to, kind of like a MailChimp and just like doing like an email drip campaign. Like that's just one utility of an email database. There's actually so many more things that you can do, especially if you've segmented those databases or you have the tools in place that allows you to export differently or track different things. One example of that a lot of folks don't know is, let's say it's just like, these are all the customers that we've had like in the last 3 months. And maybe you have another database of like all our customers that we've had for the duration of the company. And here's all the customers that we've had that like didn't convert and but we still have their contact. Like, these are all different segments, right? But if you have these different databases as part of like your CRM, or maybe you just collect them as part of like your business process, you could actually use these to create custom audiences on the ad space. And I'm more so referring to like Meta. The other platforms have started doing more so of custom audiences. Like, you can do, AdWords, they have their own custom audience portion and stuff, but more so Meta, whereas you can actually upload these databases and you can create a whole separate ad that targets only this database.
Yeah. And let's actually, sorry to pause right there, but so Russ actually, the client we talked to, Russ wasn't in on. So let's just explain it to Russ, and that'll be great for the audience. So
sure.
The client or prospect was, he was a he did promotional products and screen printing, embroidery, like custom clothes, like what you're wearing right now. So he had a bunch of, like, one big audience was like, he did it for sports teams, like little league, softball teams, like men's sports, whatever. And then he also did it for businesses like us. And the last thing was like promotional items, like if you wanted a Stanley with your company's logo on it. So he had like a bunch of like database information, but he didn't have like the softball guys in one category, and he didn't have like the companies and corporations on the other. So we were like, well, how can we use this database for us, and how can we set up systems for the future so that every time you get a new, promotional product client, like, you tag that so that we know, and that we can actually break this down and use that.
Yeah.
And so Sahil, how now, talking about like running meta ads and how we come up with, lookalike audiences and things like that, can you speak to why that's so important?
Again, if you have a database, first of all, the utility is, I just want to kind of like emphasize that there's more utility than just like an email drip campaign, right? Like, you can use the databases, and I know depending on whichever tools you're using, you can export them like a different way and whatnot, but you can use the databases as part of ad sets. And when you do that, those ads will only be displayed to that database. So you can have those ads simultaneously running with other brand awareness campaigns, lead gen, any other campaigns that you may have running. So that's the advantage of databases.
Because imagine if you have you want to upsell specific past clients.
Yep.
And people don't realize, like, they think like, oh, I just have to boost to my like people who have liked my page. It's like, no, if you have data in a database of just like your past clients, you can target them specifically. Like, that's a very practical, useful thing. I talk to people all the time, and they're like, oh geez, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Yeah. So to kind of go off of like the example that we were talking about, like, if they had a database, for example, like, let's say like these are all the folks that have ordered, softball jerseys from us, like, within the last year. Well, if like, okay, well, the season's coming up, they might need new jerseys and whatnot, you can take that database and run like a softball specific ad. And what I mean by that is like design like a graphic or like a video that targets that market with the message that you want and the ad copy, / caption that you want, and only that database will see it. So you can make like a softball ad separately from everything else that you have going on. And the benefits of doing that is like, one, exactly who's seeing it. Two, if that database is more of value compared to another database. Three, exactly which segment is most beneficial for your business, right? Like, if you had like 3 different segments, like if you had like basketball, football, and like, baseball, softball, and you just realized that like, hey, my basketball database has like converted the most for me this year, that gives you more business insight to like maybe work on that department, a little bit more in the future. So there's a lot of benefits. And again, that goes back to my first point. Databases isn't just email marketing. It's not just email drip campaigns. There's more that you can do with it. There's more if you can collect emails, build your databases,
and organize your database.
Organize it. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep. So like there is more utility in that, but these are just like some examples. Like another example is like, let's say you had a database on your website where you had folks that were on the website. Maybe they added to the cart, but they abandoned the cart and they never converted. But let's say your pixel kind of tracked that. Well, you can maybe run a separate ad campaign that retargets that database with like maybe like a coupon code.
You're like, hey, check out.
Yeah, like here's a special, 10% off coupon code just for you. Like we noticed you were, eyeing our shoes, and like here's a special holiday code for you. But yeah, you can do so many things. Like I mean, I've known companies that have had like 500 to like 600 simultaneously like running campaigns, because it's just like all targeting different things, It's like they'll have one campaign that's like targeting people that love the color blue. It's like,
well, that's what I was showing
like,
them.
whoa.
That specific guy.
It's crazy.
Who had like pressed the blue button and had run like boosts. I literally just showed him. I was like, hey, have you ever just like look at the interest? And he's like, oh, I never look at that stuff. I just like put a couple $100 in, and I literally scrolled on it, and I was like, interests, men's softball. I was like, you ever use that? And he's like, probably shoulda, huh? I was like,
so
probably,
That's the huge takeaway.
Yeah.
Because people like that, and
spend your money effectively.
Like showing up on a baseball player's mobile. I don't play softball. I play baseball.
Or just the targeting. I mean, that person's probably targeting the whole town, right? So targeting the whole city and not specifying interest at all. So somebody like that could be spending, let's say $1,000 a month on ads, and you're targeting the whole town, where you could have spent like $200 on the same ads and got better results because you're targeting only people who are interested in that thing. Yeah. And the wasted dollars are like really what we're here to try to prevent. Like I'd say that's one of our goals at Namra is to just try to optimize. When we say that buzzword a lot, like we're here to help you optimize your budget.
What that means is
practically, it translates into that. It's like finding where it's actually being wasted. Like we have clients, or people who we've looked into their stuff, and they tell us they've been running $400 Google ad campaigns for the last 7 years. And like $400 a month times 7 years, and they're like, it just kind of like
whatever.
It just kind of keep it running. I'm afraid to stop them, but they're not like expertly looking into how they can optimize it, how they can better target things so that the budget is spent more effectively, and that's so important because the wasted dollars just compound, and what you could do with the additional leftover is amazing.
I've known people that have set up call objective AdWords campaigns, yet they have no one answering the phone.
Yep.
That's a lovely
crazy.
one.
Like that's crazy. It's like the calls are coming in, yet you have no one to answer the phone.
I've seen people who have like, they say, well, 80% of our business comes in these like 5 months, and then everything else is like kind of like, it's just like not really good jobs, and they run flat curve, like $400 every single month, like you said. And it's like, why don't we save some money during those like slow months?
Yeah. Then double down
on when it's really good, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's so busy during the good months that you can't keep up with demand. Why don't you turn off ads for those really hot months and like try to curb seasonality? Like these are two things that would work depending on your situation. That's why you need to look at everything like with a custom like strategic lens, you know what I mean? And really just take there's no one way to do things.
Yeah. I think we brought up a good point. We talked about like, what does optimization really mean? Like we've never really talked about that. It is a buzzword where, it's often thrown out there, like optimizing ads, optimizing, your Google My Business profile stuff. Optimization itself doesn't just mean we're just like, taking your current ads, like just making them better, like what does that entail, right? Optimization, one component is, are you even choosing the right objective? Forget ad spend, forget your budget,
go back to foundational principles.
What is your objective for that ad? Like, for example, if you, like after we talk to you, after we have a strategy call on the ad, maybe we realize, hey, you might have thought your objective was like, I just want more people to see, my ads, but maybe your objective was lead gen, right? That's a whole separate strategy.
That needs
that's a whole separate campaign. Like you can have either like an awareness campaign, you can have a lead gen campaign. Both of those require a whole separate strategy, whole separate content, whole separate ad copy, whole separate split test, maybe a different bid cap, right? Like maybe one requires maybe like a few $100s to start, but maybe one, depending on your industry, if it's very saturated, maybe it requires a few $1,000s to obtain some leads. So it's optimizing the objective, right? Then it's optimizing your audience. Like, do you even know who your persona is? Like, have you ever thought about it? What are their pain points? Like, are you just saying, like, for example, if you're in like real estate, like don't just say like, I just want as many buyers and sellers as possible. Like, right, we run into that all the time. It's like, no. Like, which local area are you in? What's your demographic? Who's your audience? Like, are you more fit for you know, for seller listings? Like, or do you really want to work with more? Like what is your audience, right? What's your price range? Like figure that out. So objective, who's your audience? And then picking, like, optimizing ad spend, picking the right copy. But like all of that is like the ladder.
Yeah.
And like folks don't even think about the first two.
Yeah.
Right. They just think it's just, how can I make my ad better? It's not working. Not enough clicks. It's like, did you even think about who you're targeting? Like what your copy is? Like, is this even the right objective? Right. Yeah. Like, are you after clicks or are you after leads?
Yep. And right? Why? Like, why? Ask the question. Why?
Exactly.
Because I hear that all the time. It's like, like I was talking to someone the other day and it was like, well, we just want to blow up. And I was like, okay, well, what does that mean?
That's everyone's goal.
Yeah. And I get it. It's like, yeah, we want to blow up. And I was like, okay, where? Like where?
Yeah.
Why? And define that. Yeah. Like, what does that mean?
What do you mean?
Like, because for me as a like from a consultant lens, it's like, okay, do you want like 10,000 followers or do you want like 100 new clients? Like, what does that mean, blow up? Because that could be a lot of things. And I know you want to do all of it, but like order of operations, like which one would you rather have 10,000 followers or 100 new clients? Right. Why? And like, you have to ask those questions, because if you don't, you're operating on like a false pretense, bad foundation. And then if you keep doing that for a year, you're going to be way off goal. You're going to be way off target. Yep. So I think it all comes back to kind of those foundational principles we talk about. Like, ask those rudimentary questions and make sure we're not like wasting money. That's optimizing.
It's just because, you know, we've had situations in the past where it's you know, where the goal has been like, I just want more eyes on my business. Like I just want to be, you know, top of mind. All right, cool. Well, you know, based off of that objective, like we can run like an awareness campaign, and then, you know, we'll report back like, hey, like this campaign has like generated over like 1,000 click-throughs back to your website.
Right.
Like, you know, these are folks that have like engaged with the post. Like you've had like, you know, like X number of more like of new page likes, and that's that objective. But then they'll be like, oh, well, you know what? But
we didn't
no
get
one,
any customers.
But no one submitted like a lead form on our website. Well, you didn't tell us that objective. The objective was brand awareness.
Yep.
Right. So it's if you would have said my objective is, because this is what optimization means. It's not just, you know, like we're just fixing up these buttons that you don't know what it means. It's really like, are your goals even aligned on social compared to your goals in reality?
Yep.
It's like, if your goal in reality is like, hey, I would really like 50 more database entries through my website, or you know, 20 more leads this month through my website. That's a whole separate objective than saying, I just want more eyes on my business. Yeah. It's right. Like one is clicks. Yeah, one is clicks, and one is actually like, and you can see how those two different goals require different copies, different content mediums. Yeah. Right. One can be a graphic. Maybe one has to be a video showing your authenticity. Like, why would they want to work with you?
Yep.
Right. So yeah, these are things to keep in mind. So when we say optimization, it's not just some, you know, marketing textbook, you know, buzzword. It is actually of like a serious strategy buzzword where there's a lot that goes into it.
Behind like, we always say like marketing is like an art and a science, but that's the science part. Like there are some actual operational, you know, steps that you need to go through in order to make sure you're running a proper campaign. And there's a lot of, and this is where like we talk about, you know, warning business owners about like getting on that marketing treadmill and re-strategizing and like not really knowing what their target is after 3 or 4 years, because they're always switching things up. There's a lot of marketing companies out there who will just say yes. And so if you as the business owner call upon a marketing company and you give them that like misguided sort of objective, not knowingly, like no one really thinks about things in the way that we sort of just laid it out. As a business owner in a different industry that's not marketing, you're not even really thinking about things like that. So you could call a marketing company and you will say, I just want more views. We just want to blow up. And there's tons of people who are like, absolutely, we got you. We're the lead generating kings. We're the this, we're the that. And so beware, because that's not real, true consulting. Like, that's what we're here for. That's sort of like the Namra difference, so to speak.
Yeah. If it's not like kind of a pain in the ass, you might be doing it wrong.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Like we take things slow. We say, "Are you sure?" a lot.
No, well, it's just making sure you get down to the real point of like, all right, what will you be happy with is different than like what you need sometimes. And you think like, okay, this is what I want, but it's like, why? And you just have to keep asking that question. I think we do a good job of getting to that.
I'll do another breakdown that's actually like very common, but it's like misunderstood. Campaign, ad set. People think these all mean the same thing. They are very different things. Campaign is your overall, and I'm referring specifically to Meta, but all the different platforms have their versions, of their own. Yeah. They're just called different things, but campaign is your overall goal. Like, what are you setting the objective to? Is it lead gen? Is it brand awareness? Is it an ad? Then is one of the many different ads that you create to reach that goal.
So there are multiple ads within each campaign.
There's multiple ads within each campaign. Now, within each of those ads to reach that goal, there's different objectives of how you can reach that goal, and those are called ad sets. So there's multiple ad sets. There's like a family tree of ad sets, which are often split campaigns. So when you hear the word split campaigns, they mean testing different ad sets. Not ads, ad sets within the ad. Then there's a family tree of ads, and that all funnels up to one campaign, which is, and successful companies often run multiple campaigns. So you can see how you can end up with 300, 400 ad sets, right? So these don't all just mean the same thing. Like,
that's why
ad set is the smallest component. Ad set is the smallest component. So when you run 5 ad sets, you know whether that ad is successful or if that ad has like a component that's failing or not. So you know if you found a successful ad or not. Now, when you run that ad 4 different ways, now you know which ad is most successful for that campaign objective. So when we say things like benchmarking and optimizing, and we say like it takes time, like there's gonna be like especially if you have no data in the past, it takes like 3 to 4 months to really figure out like what your audience is resonating with. Like this is what we're referring to. Like at any point in time, a campaign can be a failure, an ad can be a failure, an ad set can be a failure. Now, just because an ad set has failed does not mean the ad has failed. It just means that ad set was wrong. Maybe like let's try a different copy. Let's see if that fixes the ad.
It's good. It gets you closer to the
goal.
Or
if you've run like 7 ad sets within that ad and they've all failed, regardless of the best foot forward, now we can comfortably say through benchmarking, like, hey, you know what? This ad isn't right for your business. Maybe this one will be. And then maybe if we've run that, through trial and error, we can say whether the campaign is wrong or we need, or we just need to change a few things or start a whole separate campaign. So ads are very different. Consumer psychology is very different. I mean, look at your favorite brands in the world. They run multiple versions of campaigns. Constantly. I mean, you might see one because they found out that one resonates most with you, but you don't see their failed ones. Maybe someone else is seeing that because that failed one is right for that audience. Right, so there's a lot that goes into it. People think like it's a magic button, like they think, hey, I open up my Facebook, like I was talking about chocolates the other day, and now I see all these chocolate ads, like now I'm gonna buy them, like this company's killing it. Like no, like that, maybe that company's investing like 20 grand a month testing all these variations, and maybe you just happen to stumbled upon the right one, and now that company will know, like, hey, you know what, like this is the one that we're gonna invest in. So ads is a whole separate animal. It's a whole separate game. Like it's easy to say like, hey, can we just boost this to this audience?
I hear it all the time. I just need one ad. We just need one ad, and it's like, but what goes into years. That? Yeah, what goes into that one ad?
And it can change at any moment, And this isn't like marketing bullshit or marketing like lack of transparency. This is just the workings of these social engines. I
encourage people to go into it and look for yourself.
Yeah,
look for yourself to see what it looks like.
It's just the workings. Yeah, it's just the workings of these social engines because like change is happening on a constant. These platforms are evolving on a constant. There's new updates, new hardware. There's new software. There's new software software that engages with that hardware, right? It's like there's different things happening. So it's like, you know, when we say like, hey, we understand that you have a really, and here's the other downfall, right? Usually people want to pursue ads when they're really on that fine line. Like, this is why we say you should start planning early.
Yeah. Like,
talk to us early. It's okay if you're planning like a year out, 2 years out. It's okay, but have these discussions early so we can lay out a game plan, strategize. So when you're ready to execute, we can like flip the switch and like be ready to go. Because like these things are changing.
Yeah.
Right? Platforms are changing. It's like
don't start running ads when you're
like
scared
now
to spend
business
money.
is like
That's
low
not,
and you just want to like try it out. Like, no, because like that by that time the folks that really planned it out are doubling down, and you're left here with like a $25 a month ad budget,
right?
Which maybe for your industry it will be enough. Who knows? But more often than not, it's not.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's just a bit
you're
of
fighting against the guy who saved up, who knew he's going to run it at this point in time. He's been split testing. He knows exactly what's going to work, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to put in 10 grand into like this ad set, and like boom, like I'm going to own the market. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's like, you know, ads are a whole separate animal. Like, it takes a lot to target the right people. If you've seen a successful ad hit your feed, like it's because like there's been a lot of testing that goes behind it. Like it's, so yeah, it does take time. It takes strategy calls. It takes, you know, revisit calls to like see if anything has changed. And it requires patience.
Yeah.
You will find your ad set, but it requires patience. Like if you're not willing to invest time into learning what works for your business, then don't pursue it. Like it's not worth it, because you'll just end up wasting ad spend, and you're not
before you even get to that goal
you just want
line
that
at the
quick
bottom.
buck. Yeah, you want that quick buck, and it doesn't exist. It's a whole separate field. Like you have to compete. It's a different sport. Still the major leagues, right? Yeah. It's
Well, I think that's a great way to wrap. And stay tuned for the next episode, and let us know your thoughts. And we'll talk to you soon.